or die. Hey, swing those hips around. Can't stop, roll back down. My ladies, short, tall, thin or wide, always down and ready to ride.
2 straight weeks in a row we're witnessing this, guys. 2 straight weeks. First it was Tanner Jeannot hit on Brock Besser. Absolutely brutal hit. And then last night, an absolutely devastating, crushing hit to Darnell Nurse from Ryan Reeves. When is this shit gonna freaking stop, man? Does someone have to die on the ice for the NHL to finally wake up? Oh, anyway, guys. My name is Gene. You guys are watching Primed and Lubed for November 17th, 2024. This is season 4, episode 7, and Doc could be out for quite a long time after that brutal hit. So the question is, how many games will he get? Will it just be a little slap on the wrist, or is he going to get the book thrown at him? He has a history of this stuff, and like I say, guys, when I watched that hit, it was more than just the hit that I witnessed that I thought was absolutely brutal. It's how his neck was torqued. Like, I'm going to say it right now. I'll be surprised if he comes back and plays this season. I think he's suffered a major injury, and I guess we're going to find out in the next couple days. But it didn't look good. It did not look good at all. He was able to get off without a stretcher, but he did need assistance. So chime in after this episode, guys, and I will definitely view all your thoughts and any questions that you have. But I think, honestly, and even the reporters here in Vancouver, even on Global News BC, they're saying the book should be thrown at him, 10 games minimum. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, my name is Gene. This is my channel. If you're new to this channel and you like the content I deliver, please feel free to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, as it'll help me grow this channel into bigger and better things and better content for you guys to watch. I know there's a ton of Edmonton Oilers channels, but I try to bring a different element to it every week. And let's get into the episode breakdown for this week, as there was 3 games on hand as the Oilers played the Islanders, Predators, and also the Leafs last night. All games were pretty tight, pretty close. There was games for the most part, I did not like the way the Oilers played this week. I'll get into it when we get into that. But yeah, that hit was absolutely stunning, and I'm going to talk a little bit more. Great sports weekend. The Mike Tyson fight Friday night. I don't know how to think of that. I do like the 2 fights leading up to it, though. I thought they were very good fights. The Tyson fight, well, say what you will about that. The man is, 68 years old, but now there's all sorts of rumors going around that they actually had a script round for round of what was going to happen. So my boss was saying it was scripted, and it probably was scripted. Let's be honest. I don't think they wanted Tyson to look like an absolute loser, and I don't think Jake Paul wanted to be knocked out. So it almost seemed fitting that it would end with Jake Paul winning it, but going the distance. But we'll see. We'll see what to make of it. I guess there was something like 60 million Netflix subscribers that viewed that, so it was pretty crazy. Anyway, let's get into the Oilers and what happened last week as the Oilers took on the New York Islanders on Tuesday. This game I had a mixed feeling about this game. There was a lot of stuff I liked because they were playing a little bit more adhesive, a little bit more structure, but they still have a ways to go. And so let's just get right into the first game of the week, the Oilers and the Islanders. So it was a 4-3 win for the Oilers in overtime. However, I don't think it should have went to overtime. I think the Oilers could have got the clear-cut win. The good thing is the 1 point that we ended up losing is going to an Eastern team. So it doesn't really affect us. We got our 2 points, which is the good thing about that. So my takeaways, McDavid recorded 4 points to move 1 point away from becoming the 99th player in NHL history to hit 1,000 career points plateau with 658 games played. When McDavid hits this mark, he will be likely the 4th fastest player to reach that milestone after Wayne Gretzky at 4:24, Mario Lemieux at 5:13, and Mike Bossy at 6:56. And let me tell you, he does hit it later this week, actually in the Nashville game. So, spoiler alert. Okay, the key moment. The Islanders came back from trailing by two midway through the third, scoring with their goalie pulled at 2:24 remaining. Jean-Gabriel Pageau fed Anders Lee in the slot and buried his second of the game to send the game into extra overtime. Can't read today, guys. Sorry. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, the Oilers had the game within their grasp, and we've heard this too many times where third period they give up 2 and now we're in overtime. So that was a key moment for the Islanders. Key stat, it was a year to the day that Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch took over for Jay Woodcroft, coaching his first NHL game against the Islanders the next night. It has been pretty successful tenure to this point. Knobloch, who came into his 85th game behind the bench for Edmonton with a 55-25-6 record. That's pretty amazing. Not bad for a rookie head coach, I must say. My take, considering the fact the Edmonton Oilers were playing the 9th seeded Islanders from the East, not to mention the firepower and the Islanders' depleted roster, I thought the Oilers should have not have struggled as much as they did in this game. Hence the low grade, as I am going to give them a C- for this one. It was not a very good week as a whole. And obviously our concern is what happened to Darnell there, so I'm going to be really interested in hearing and find out what happened there. A C- for that game. Oilers still need to work on a lot. They should never have given up the 2-goal lead in the third to put themselves into that predicament. They did get the win, but I'm not going to give them that good of a grade for it. Okay, let's go on to the Oilers and Preds right now, as this was another game very similar, actually very, very similar, considering the Preds are actually now the last team in the Western Conference. That is a shocker. I'm flabbergasted by that. I had them in the top 3 in the West, and wow, they're really not doing that good. But that's a story for another day. Let's get into this game here. Very similar game, like I said. But this is the night that Connor does it. He gets his 1,000th point in this game. And people that were at this game were definitely treated to a very good thing. So, my takeaways, McDavid extended his point streak against Nashville to 15 games with 10 goals, 36 points over that span. So, McDavid knows how to get it done. Same with Draisaitl. He knows how to get it done against Nashville. For whatever reason, those teams are, or that team is like just an ammunition session for McDavid and Draisaitl. Key moment with the teams playing 4-on-4 per side in the second. Draisaitl fed McDavid for a 2-on-1 break and ripped one past Wedgwood. That stuff never gets old, is watching that McDavid feed to Draisaitl, and it's surprising What are we now? 6 years into these guys? 8 years? I don't even know. 8 or 9 years into these guys as a tandem, and goalies and defense still can't stop that particular play. That one pass that McDavid finds Draisaitl, and Draisaitl rips it. Key stat: McDavid took only 58 games to go from 900 points to 1,000 points. So, doesn't surprise me. We're talking about Connor McDavid. And let's go to my take. The NHL is heading into U.S. Thanksgiving in about 2 weeks. This is usually a guiding gauge for where the teams stand for the season. Despite the Oilers' upgrades in performance, despite the Oilers' upgrade in offense, the team has been underperforming. However, the Predators are nowhere near expectation with the additions of Stamkos and Marchessault. So, yeah, we talk about us getting Skinner and Arvidsson. You know, those are like Jeff Skinner, that is, and Arvidsson. And you'd think our firepower should have been better from like the McLeod and the guys that we gave up last season. But we're still trying to find our way as a team. That being said, if I was, and I can't remember Nashville's GM right now, but if I was him, I'd be like, what the hell is going on here? I got Stammer, I got Marchessault, and we're dead last in the league. This doesn't make any sense at all. So, again, this is a game that went to overtime, 3-2 final. The Oilers win it in a close one. But, again, I can't give them the greatest of grades, as I'm going to give them a C, so a slightly better grade than the last game, as the last game was a C-. And the reason why I gave them a C- is because the Islanders had a depleted roster, and the Oilers also gave up 2 in the third period. So that's why there's a little bit of an upgrade in grading for this particular game. Okay, we're going to go to the stories going around the league right now. As there is a few things going on. We're going to start off with Wild's Matt Zuccarello undergoes surgery. He's going to be out for weeks. I believe it's a lower body injury. And yeah, he's going to be out for weeks. This is the time of year, again, during U.S. Thanksgiving, that the players, this is when you're starting to see the most significant amount of injuries. Because players are jockeying for position. It gets a lot more serious towards the end because you don't want to take those penalties, like going into March or February, March. You don't want to take those penalties and put your team at risk for falling out of a playoff spot. So right now, that's where you'll see a little bit more aggressive, but yet sloppy play. Whereas it tightens up in February and March. And I think we're witnessing that with the Oilers play very much so. As Valerie Nichushkin makes season debut for versus Washington. So that's one guy coming back from injury. Knights give Braden McNabb a 3-year, $10.95 million extension. So now that makes me think, what is Evan Bouchard worth? What is he actually worth? What is he going to get? And I'm going to host that as my poll question today, because I have some concerns about the money that he's probably going to get no matter what. But is he worth that money? Blackhawks Seth Jones goes on the IR with a right foot injury. I'm happy for that, kind of, because that tells me that he is not going to be traded to the Oilers, where there was some rumors swirling that could very well happen. And of course, unfortunately, a big local story as Darnell Nurse ruled out after dangerous hit to the head. I think he's going to be out for a pretty significant amount of time. Anytime you see blood on the ice or on the visor and that, it always looks worse. But what I really thought of that injury when I watched it is how bad his neck torqued, and obviously the hit on the TV, or the hit on the head. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, we're going to go into my reflections piece here, and it is on yet another goaltender, and I'm just going to get right into it. Next installment of reflections, I'm going back to yet another goaltender. Now, this is a goaltender who arguably is the second best goaltender in Edmonton Oilers history to wear the number 31, despite being an Olympic gold medalist. I think you've guessed it. Curtis Joseph. Curtis Joseph was just an amazing guy. Tough life growing up, but really propelled himself and shot for the stars. No matter how many times he was kicked down, he was a fighter, and he built his way up, and he built his way up. Let's get into his story right now. Curtis Shane Joseph, born April 29th, 1969, is a Canadian ice hockey coach and former professional player, nicknamed Cujo. Joseph was immediately recognizable on the ice for his mask featuring a snarling dog, drawing inspiration from Stephen King's novel Cujo. Nicknamed Cujo, Joseph has worn the number 31 for the St. Louis Blues, Edmonton Oilers, Toronto Maple Leafs, Detroit Red Wings, Phoenix Coyotes, Calgary Flames, and is a three-time NHL All-Star, 94, 99, and 2000. And he was awarded the 1999-2000 King Clancy Memorial Trophy for exemplifying leadership qualities on and off the ice, making him a noteworthy humanitarian to contributions in his community. In the 2002 Winter Olympics held in Salt Lake City, he was a member of the Olympic gold medal winning Canadian men's hockey team. Joseph broke into the NHL in 1990 playing for the St. Louis Blues. In the offseason following the 90-91 season, the Blues signed Brendan Shanahan from the New Jersey Devils. Shanahan was a restricted free agent, and thus the Devils were entitled to compensation. The teams could not agree on what the compensation was. The Blues offered Curtis Joseph, Rod Brindamore, and 2 draft picks, while the Devils wanted Scott Stevens. Joseph seemed to be the answer for the Devils were looking for in goal. The case went to arbitration, and the judge ruled that Stevens would be awarded to the Devils in September of 1991. Joseph remained with the Blues until 1995. The 92-93 NHL season was his most successful season, as he played a key role in upsetting the Chicago Blackhawks, reigning Clarence Combo Conference regular season champions. The Blues swept them in 4 games in the first round of the playoffs. The Blues then faced the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round, and though the Leafs prevailed, the series went to 7 games thanks to Joseph's play. Because of his efforts, he was nominated a finalist for the Vezina Trophy that season, finishing 3rd in voting behind Ed Belfour and Tom Barrasso. After a disappointing first-round exit in the 1995 playoffs, St. Louis Blues coach and general manager Mike Keenan declined to re-sign Joseph and traded his rights to the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers began their training camp with 2 starting goaltenders, signed incumbent Bill Ranford and unsigned Joseph. Edmonton failed to work out a contract for Joseph or unable to trade him, leaving Joseph without a team to start the 95-96 season. He signed a contract with the IHL Las Vegas Thunder and dominated, reminding the NHL that he deserved to be there. Oilers entertained trading Joseph to the Boston Bruins, but would finally sign Joseph to a contract and trade Ranford to Boston. With Edmonton, Joseph won 2 Zane Feldman trophies, Team MVP, and Most Popular Player Award. He backstopped the Oilers to the first-round playoff upsets of the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche in 97 and 98, respectively, in their first playoff series wins since 1992. The Detroit Red Wings won the Stanley Cup in 2002 with Dominik Hasek and entered the 2002-2003 season with newly acquired Curtis Joseph, but otherwise mostly unhinged. Detroit brought in coach Dave Lewis to replace the retiring Scotty Bowman and signed Joseph to a 3-year, $24 million contract to replace the newly retired Dominik Hasek. Joseph initially faltered, but eventually found his form in the later half of the 2002-2003 season to backstop his team to a division title. With anemic offense, Detroit was upset in the first round of the playoffs of 2003 by the eventual conference champions, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, in a four-game sweep. Detroit fans and media focused their frustration on Joseph after he was outplayed by the eventual 2003 Conn Smythe winner, Jean-Sebastien Giguère. In the summer of 2005, several teams were interested in signing Joseph, including the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Phoenix Coyotes. After taking a call from the new Phoenix Coyotes coach, Wayne Gretzky, Joseph signed a 1-year deal in Phoenix on October 28, 2005. He won his 400th NHL game on March 28, 2006, and posted his 424th career win, thereby moving him into 6th place on the all-time list, passing Tony Esposito. In the summer of 2006, Joseph returned to Phoenix to play another season on a 1-year contract. While he was with the Coyotes, Joseph became the first goaltender to have 30 or more regular season wins for 5 different teams: St. Louis, Edmonton, Toronto, Detroit, and Phoenix. Joseph eventually recorded at least 50 regular season wins with each of those 5 teams. Joseph had shown interest in rejoining the Toronto Maple Leafs, indicating that he would be fine with a backup role and a reduced salary. In September of 2007, the Ottawa Senators quietly expressed interest in acquiring Joseph if they could unload Martin Gerber of his contract. On January 14, 2008, Joseph signed a 1-year, $1.5 million contract with the Calgary Flames. On March 1, 2008, Joseph moved past Terry Sawchuk for 4th place in all-time wins with 448 in a 3-1 win over his former team, the Phoenix Coyotes. On April 13, 2008, Joseph replaced Mika Kiprusoff less than 4 minutes into the first period of game number 3 of the playoffs' first-round series of the 2008 playoffs with the San Jose Sharks. Joseph backstopped the Flames to a come-from-behind 4-3 win after initially falling behind 3-0. This made him the first goaltender to win a postseason game as a member of 5 different teams: St. Louis, Edmonton, Toronto, Detroit, and Calgary. On July 1st, 2008, Joseph rejoined the Toronto Maple Leafs by signing a 1-year, $700,000 contract. Joseph served primarily as a backup for most of the season, only playing 21 games. On December 30th, 2008, he recorded his 450th career win in a 4-3 overtime victory against the Atlanta Thrashers. And on April 9th, 2009, he recorded his 352nd NHL loss, tying Gump Worsley for the NHL record for most losses by a goaltender. Martin Brodeur subsequently set a new record and subsequently finished with 397 losses. Joseph's 352nd loss were also later surprised by Luongo, who subsequently finished with 392 losses. Joseph announced his retirement on January 12, 2010 in Toronto. His career would end with 454 regular season wins, 5th most of all time. 63 playoff victories are the most by any goaltender without winning a Stanley Cup. During the 2016-17 season, Joseph was a goaltender consultant for the Carolina Hurricanes of the NHL. Joseph was a member of Canada's men's national ice hockey team, having played for the team in several international tournaments, including the 1996 Men's World Ice Hockey Championships, the 1996 World Cup of Hockey, the 2002 Winter Olympics, and the 2007 Spandler Cup. Joseph helped lead the team to the Spandler Cup Championship on December 31st, 2007. So there you guys have it. An amazing goaltender. Unfortunately, this man did not ever get a Stanley Cup. One of those guys. There's so many guys I can think of that never got a Stanley Cup, like the likes of Jerome McGinley. These are guys that you wish they would have got it done. But Curtis has one thing in his trophy showcase that a lot of people don't have: an Olympic gold medal. Curtis, you were awesome as an Oiler. Love your masks. And maybe someday we'll see you as a goaltender coach in the Edmonton Oilers organization. And that's a great segue going into the Edmonton Oilers and Leafs game that took place last night. Curtis, most notable for being an Oiler and a Leaf. Just an amazing career. Overall this week, I guess I sometimes maybe get a little too tough on the Oilers because they still managed to get 5 of the possible 6 points this week, which isn't too bad at all. However, all the games this week did go to overtime. And with Nashville, I don't think we have to worry too much. Islanders and Maple Leafs are Eastern Conference teams. So realistically, it was nothing but gains for the Oilers. They gave one point to a Western Conference team, but that team really needs to turn it around if they want to do anything. So let's get into the Oilers and Leafs game. And I think most of us are talking about the hit that Ryan Reeves did to Darnell Nurse. Again, absolutely brutal hit. I'm sure we're going to hear within the next day or two of some supplementary discipline that's going to happen. And we're all going to be disappointed. Oh, he only got 4 games. Oh, right on. Nearly killed the guy, but he only got 4 games. But that's hockey. All right. So the takeaways: Chris Knoblauch dressed 11 forwards and 7 defensemen with Victor Arvidsson out with an injury for the second consecutive game. So yeah, the Oilers are getting banged up. Now Darnell is going to be out for some time. It really is that time that the Edmonton Oilers have to dig in, and the guys, the next man up mentality, you got to prove yourself. Like, this is your chance. Key moment: Nurse wheeled around the net early in the second period before getting caught by a high hit from Ryan Reeves. We already discussed that. Nurse left bloody and had to be helped up to the locker room. Reeves was assessed a 5-minute match penalty and booted from the game. We discussed that enough. Horrific hit. And it's going to be interesting to see, again, what the NHL course of action on it will be. If you ask me, being a multiple offender, I discussed this with one of my guys at work that I work with after the Brock Besser. And I think first hit to the head, that's where you get your 3 to 5 to 6 game suspension. Second time, half a season. Third one, you're booted from the league. These are injuries that are affecting people's long-term livelihoods. We all saw I suggested for you guys to watch the Joe Murphy W5 thing on YouTube. How many hockey players wind up like that? It's just Joe Murphy happened to be homeless. There's more of a storyline, and they were able to make more of a story. But how many players? Chris Nylon, Bo Gardner, the guys that committed suicide, how many players suffer from these head injuries and they don't even want to live anymore because they're so done with it. So it needs to be addressed. That's what I'm saying. Leafs forward Max Domi has now gone 13 games without a point. The 29-year-old has no goals and 6 assists this season. So Yeah, that's a big question. Where is Domi going to be when it comes at the deadline? I don't think he'll be wearing the Maple Leafs jersey anymore. So for my game grade, my take first, sorry. Once again, Bouchard name comes up with the wrong reason, as he had no effort on the game tying goal. Once again, coasting in, letting the play happen. And then he literally passed the puck onto the stick of Marner for the game-winning goal. And like, what do you say? Like, how many times, how much, like, I'm sure Knobloch is trying to address it with him. How much talking it's definitely coming in the media. Now they say they tune out the media, but I think that's BS too. I think a lot of those guys listen to, they may not listen to my channel. I'm pretty small, but I'm sure they listen to some of the bigger channels. And eventually will probably listen to me. It's got to affect them, and they got to start playing better. And you know what? I know I harped on Stewie Skinner for a long time. I'll harp on Bouchard till I start seeing this man playing better too, right? Like he's fair game. He's an Edmonton Oiler. He's a high-paid athlete, and he's going to be wanting. His contract's due at the end of this year, and he's already 7.75 or something like that. He's going to want to raise. He's going to want to be in the tens. Are we going to pay him $10 million with what you saw him? I don't know. So my game grade for this one, again, I'm going to give it a C. I could have actually almost gave them a C plus because of the fact that they are depleted. They don't have Arvidsson. They didn't have Nurse for half the game. They had to shuffle, and so I could almost lean towards a C plus, but I did give them the C for this one. And let's hope that when they go into next week's game against Montreal, Ottawa, Minnesota, and New York Rangers, that we start seeing these grades upgrade a little bit. Okay, let's go into the Western Conference standings as they were as of this morning. So this is actually very good, up to date. Now, when I go into the upcoming games, they may vary. Even the information I read from you is going to be current information compared to the graphics, because I did all those graphics yesterday. I'm sure there's going to be some numbers a little bit skewed, so I'll remind you guys when we get into that. Let's go into the standings and see what happened since last week as far as movement goes. Okay, the Winnipeg Jets stay on top of the conference as they remain even. They haven't been bumped down. However, they have taken 2 losses, and one was a pretty bad one against the Florida Panthers as they lost 5-0 against them. Minnesota, again, they stay status quo. They're even. Vegas has bumped up 1 spot. LA dropping 1 spot. So basically those 2 teams just swapped since last week. Dallas has jumped up from 7th to 5th. Vancouver has jumped down to 5th to 6th. Calgary 6th to 7th. And Edmonton stays status quo just above the playoff cut line. Seattle is in 9th with a 3-team jump, or plus 3 spots. Colorado remains even. Utah goes down 2 spots. St. Louis goes down 1 spot. Anaheim up 2 spots. San Jose up 2 spots. Chicago down 1 spot. Nashville now dead last. Worst team in the West. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that Nashville is dead last. They lost 3 spots. Okay, now let's go into the upcoming games. Now, again, I just want to remind you guys with this, there was games last night. So I did these graphics early yesterday morning. So when I get into it, I'm going to be reading the up-to-date graphics. So there might be some variations from the graphics that you see on the screen compared to what I'll actually read out. But tomorrow night, the Edmonton Oilers will be in Montreal for the Oilers and Habs game as they continue their Eastern road swing. 4 games, busy week, as Monday They are in Montreal. Tuesday, they are in Ottawa. Thursday, at home against Minnesota, the second best team in the West. And then the New York Rangers on Saturday night. So to say the least, it's... Well, the Montreal and Ottawa games are kind of like, they're going to be kind of tough, but I don't think as tough. Minnesota's going to be a tough game. And the Rangers is going to be a tough game. So let's get right into this one as we'll start off with the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal for goals are tied for 19th in the league. The Oilers are at 21st in the league. So a pretty even stat there. This is a very different look. One team is very good at it, and the other team is dead last. So Edmonton, for shots on goal, is second in the league, averaging 33.2, whereas the Montreal Canadiens are the dead last. They're only averaging 24.5. That being said, Stewart is still trying to find his way, and a lot of teams don't need as many shots to find their way against him. The power play for Montreal, 22nd in the league. Face-off percentage, they're 5th in the league. Shooting percentage, 31st in the league, so they're not very good at finding their way, as only 8.3% of their limited shots go, that's Edmonton I'm reading. Edmonton is 31st in the league, which is shocking considering the firepower they have. Montreal's 9th in the league. Goals allowed, Edmonton is 20th. Shots on goal, 4th. Penalty minutes, 8th. And they are tied for 31st on the penalty kill, whereas Montreal for goals allowed is 31st. So they're definitely struggling defensively. Shots on goal, 25th. And that right there tells you that it is a defensive issue, because if their shots on goal allowed is 25th, that is defensive breakdowns right there. And then it leads to the goaltending as the last stop, and obviously the goaltending isn't doing that good either. 26th for penalty minutes is they're kind of a little, not very disciplined. They're getting a lot of calls against them, and then the penalty kill is 14th in the league at 81%. So their penalty kill isn't too bad. The last time they played, Edmonton won on March 19th, 2024, 3-2. This is on Amazon Prime. So unless you're a subscriber for Amazon Prime, you will not get this game unless you got the illegal streams going or whatever, but I don't advise that at all. The current record, Edmonton 9-7-2, Montreal 6-10-2. Montreal's home record 4-4-1. Edmonton's away record 5-2-1. So Edmonton has a pretty decent away record. The last 10, Edmonton is 6-3-1. Montreal going in the exact opposite direction with 3-6-1. And Montreal won the last game, and Edmonton lost their last game. Stuart Skinner expected to start with a 5-5-2 record, 329 goals against average, 877 save percentage with 1 shutout. Sam Montembeault has a 5-8-1 record, 309 goals against average with a 898 save percentage and 1 shutout. So we'll see how that one plays out. Next very night, they're in Ottawa. Oops. Let me get back into that screen. My apologies. So next very night, they are in Ottawa. That's Butterfingers there on my behalf. So with the Senators, let's see what the stats they have here. Oh, I hate when it does that. Okay, here we go. 1 second, guys. Okay, the Senators. When you get those pop-up advertisement screens, that's what I was just dealing with. Senators, 13th in the league for goals, 4 at 4.24. Third in the league for shots on goal at 32.4. So they can pepper it. 6th in the league on the power play at 27.6. Face-off percentage, 17th in the league at 50.6. Shooting percentage, 20th in the league at 10. Defensive stats, goals allowed, they are averaging 3.12, which puts them at 18th in the league. Again, another team that struggles a little bit defensive. Shots on goal allowed, though. So that there, their goaltending is struggling. And I do know that Allmark is struggling this year quite a bit. He's not the Allmark that played in Boston, because shots on goal allowed is 6th in the league. That's pretty good defending by my standards at 26.8. Penalty minutes, 11th in the league at 8.2, and they are 20th on the penalty kill at 78%. The last time they met, the Ottawa Senators beat the Oilers 5-3 on March 24th, 2024. Again, the Senators' record for this one is 8-8-1, 5-2-1 for their home record, 4-5-1 for their last 10, and they are on a 2-game losing streak. Calvin Pickard will get the start, 4-2-0 record with a 249 goals against average and an 890 save percentage. No shutouts yet. Linus Allmark, 4-4-1 with a 277 and an 890 save percentage with 1 shutout. They'll get a bit of a break. Then they come back home to take on the Minnesota Wild in Edmonton. And this one could be a tough one for the Oilers, to say the least. Just because, I got that pop up again. Okay. So let's go through Minnesota's stats here. Minnesota's 11th in the league for goals at 3.35, 19th in the league at 28.4, tied for 11th for power play at 20.8, 48.2, tied for 24th for faceoffs, tied for 7th at the shooting percentage at 11.8. So Minnesota, offensively, not exactly their strong point. Defensively, they got 2 pretty significant stats here that are pretty good. Goals allowed, 2.35, makes them 2nd in the league. They are 13th in the league for shots on goals allowed at 28.5. Penalty minutes, they are, what are they? They are 3rd in the league with 6.6. So very disciplined team. They don't like to take the penalties. 23rd in the league on the penalty kill at 77.5. Last time they played was a 4-2 victory on February 23rd against the Oilers. And I don't know where that one was. Current record for Minnesota, they're having a great season so far, 11-3-3. Their away record is 7-1-2. Phenomenal away record. Last 10, 6-3-1, and they are on a 1-game losing streak. Philip Gustafsson should get the start for the Wild with a record of 8-3-2. 208 goals against average and a 927 save percentage, 1 shutout, and Stuart Skinner will probably be back behind the pipes for that game as well. Let's go into the final of 4 games against the New York Rangers, and this should be a doozy. It's always a good one to see. And if you guys do remember, a few years ago, McDavid made one of the most incredible goals I think I've ever seen in hockey history. Literally going through 5 players and finding a way, well, all 6 players really, if you can include the goaltender. Just an absolute stellar goal. I've never seen anything like it, but that was a few years ago. Going into this game, the Rangers are 4th in the Metro. The Oilers are 5th in the Pacific. This game will be at Rogers Place. The last time they played each other was a 4-3 matchup in December 22nd, 2023. Going into this, the Rangers have a 10-4-1 record, 5-1-0 away record, so they're pretty good on the road as well. 6-4 record on the last 10 and a 1-game winning streak. Igor Shesterkin, the guy who commanded huge bucks, which I don't think he's worth as much as he's commanding. A 7-4-1 record, 278 goals against average, and a 914 save percentage. Don't get me wrong, he's a very good goalie, but he was asking, I think he turned down something like $11.5 million. He actually turned it down. I'm like, are you crazy? And they were going to give him 8 years on it. He wants shorter term, which is really a bad idea because guaranteed money is guaranteed money, but that's another story. Anyway, with the Rangers, they are 5th in the league for goals, 7th in the league for shots on goal, 7th in the league for power play, tied for 8th in the league for faceoff, and tied for 7th for shooting percentage. Offensively, they're something to deal with. Defensively, they're not bad either. 5th in the league for goals allowed at 2.53. However, they fall to 28th in the league for shots on goal allowed. So defending-wise, they could improve, but that's probably because they're spending so much time in the O-zone. So that's kind of one of those slippery hills. Like if you're getting the job done in the O-zone, then there's something's got to give. You're either going to be in the O-zone or you're going to be in the D-zone. So it tends to be a little bit high there. 22nd in the league for penalty minutes and 2nd in the league for the penalty kill. So the Edmonton Oilers have a struggling power play. If this is trending the way it is, they're not going to get any power play goals against this team either. Rangers are 10-4-1. Did I go through all that already? Yeah, I think I already went through all that stuff. So there you have it, guys. That is the lineup for this week. 4 huge games. And we will see what comes out of it as we are getting close to wrapping up this. Now, the poll question I have is, I had trouble really deciding this poll question because I wanted it to be about the Ryan Reeves hit, but I end up going with a negative integer towards Bouchard. And it's a legit question for you guys. Like, I really want to know what you guys think about it. Thank you guys also for voting last week. I did have a good voter turnout, as the majority of you guys said that Leon Draisaitl was the most consistent. I think it was like 90% of you guys voted that, and then there was one for Henrique, but the other guys didn't get a single vote. So thank you guys for voter turnout, and I'd like to see, once again, voter turnout from you guys on this question. Should the Edmonton Oilers consider shopping Evan Bouchard right now? It's a simple yes or no. Scan the QR code. It'll take you directly to my community page. I'd like to know your thoughts because I think I looked. I don't have that screen up. I think I looked earlier today, and he's either at 7.5 or 7.7, and he's on the tail end. This is the last year of that contract. He's going to be asking 10, 11 million with the salary cap going up. Just saying, I would like to see us maybe, because he does bring some value. Maybe we can get a good stay-at-home D-man, like, I don't know. Can't really think of any names right now, but we have to address it, and especially if Darnell's going to be out for a significant amount of time, this might be the time to do it. So let me hear what you guys think. Am I jumping the gun saying, hey, you're being too hard on him? But I don't like the coasting. I do not like the coasting, and it's got to change. It's got to change, or else the Oilers may not even make the playoffs this year, which is scary to think. Okay. Let's go into final thoughts, and I know a few of you guys have chimed in today. My one guy has chimed in. I am hoping I get more people chiming in, but Renegade Man, thank you. And you're awesome for chiming in. I do appreciate it. Let's get into final thoughts. And we'll get into that right now. And we'll go to Renegade Man's comments as his first comment. He has a few comments here. You can bench Bouchard because the Oilers on D are so thin. You can't bench Bouchard because the Oilers on D are so thin as it is. Hope Nurse is okay. He's been playing better. Who cares about his contract? The Oilers need him more than ever. Yes, they do, but he's a liability. He needs to find... He can't be coasting into the zone to defend. He cannot be doing that, Renegade Man. And he's going to expect big... He's going to get a big buck contract. We know that. And that's the unfortunate side. To build a team, it's really hard because a lot of guys want to cash in. And rightfully so. They want to cash in. They want it for their families and that. But, and I think that because of their contracts and the money is worth more than the championships, to be honest with you. There was one player way back in the day, those that remember Mike Modano, he actually took a pay cut. And same with Sid. He took a pay cut too, to try to build a team around him and all that. And you admire those guys. Anyway, we'll get back to another question by Renegade Man. As I feel bad for Skinner, but he needs to do better. I don't understand why people still believe Pix is the number one goalie. He's a journeyman goalie his whole career. I totally agree. Skinner does need to be better, but I've beaten up on Skinner enough, and now I'm really starting to analyze where things went wrong. And a lot of it, I'm seeing Evan Bouchard on the ice. Right? A lot of it, I'm seeing Evan Bouchard on the ice. And I'm watching... And it's not even... I know I'm really slandering Evan Bouchard right now. But it's not even that. It's just when I see the man coasting into the zone, it just infuriates me. I want to see him at least... he may not be able to save the play, but at least get to the net to maybe dish out a rebound should there be one. Nurse Kulak pairing has been a great pair with Nurse hurt. I'm not really confident with Dermott, Brown, and Stetcher on the D. I hope Emerson could be a better version of CC. We all do. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think Nurse actually has been playing very well this year. And now this happens. And this injury, I don't know, man. I always overinflate injuries, though, so I'm probably doing it again. Because when I saw McDavid go out, I thought he was going to be out for a while, too. But the way his neck was cranked makes me wonder if he's going to be back this year. Okay, guys, that's about it for this particular episode. Thanks for joining in, Renegade Man. You're always welcome to posting your comments on here. Love your insight. I may disagree with you from time to time, but then there's times that I will totally give you the praise for a great comment. Other than that, guys, I am out of here. I'm just in the middle of constructing a fireplace. So I got a big mess in my living room. I thought I'd give myself a bit of an early Christmas present. Okay, guys, you guys have a great week. We will see you next week with another piece of reflections. Take care. I'm out.